Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to thank everybody for being here and just kind of hanging out. We're going to have a look at one of my favorite guns that I have in my collection. This is a Marlin 336C in 35 Remington. Just for fun, we'll go ahead and make sure that we're safety checked here and we're good to go on that. So this gun has a little bit of a story, and I think it's kind of interesting. I bought this gun at the very end of 2019 from a local gun shop. I was really interested in 35 Remington cartridge. It's largely based on the same family of cartridges that would lead to the 308 and 243. It has the same head stamp size as far as the back of the brass goes as the 308, and so most rifles or most actions that can work with the 308 size calibers are able to work with the 35 Remington. This is one of the oldest still continually used calibers and cartridges in where we're at today. This cartridge was largely introduced for being a woods cartridge. A lot of times when you think of what is known as a woods cartridge, it has the ability to kind of knock through a bunch of leaves and sticks and maybe grass to kind of just barrel its way through the brush and hit a target from fairly close range. So that's what the 35 Remington always was, and it was very competent at doing that. Had a little bit less power than the 30-06 or the 308 did, but it was very effective in what it was meant to be used for, and it's still considered to be, even by today's standards, one of the better brush cartridges. You see them almost exclusively these days in lever action rifles like this Marlin 336. This is one that was made by Marlin during the Remington era, and I had thought, oh my gosh, am I really going to buy a Remington era Marlin? Is it really going to be worth it? And you know what, in all honesty, I've been pretty pleased. There was an issue with the chamber at one point that I had sorted out with a local gunsmith. It was a little bit, it had, safe to say, a couple of burrs and machine lines inside that made it a little bit tough for the rounds to be loaded. And once I had that honed out a little bit, everything has worked perfectly. So I will say, just in general, as we're looking here, the fit and finish of this particular rifle is, for the most part, pretty darn good. You know, if you look here, we can kind of see the mating surfaces between the wood and the metal are not bad at all. You can see that the piece of wood itself has sort of a nice satin finish. It's been slightly smoothed over from where I've been holding it, but this one's got that little fake target on there, the little bullseye that was meant to be reminiscent of older Marlins from their golden era. We have our nice little brown recoil pad here. I have a couple of little gouges and things here and there, but otherwise it's still a very nice rifle. The bluing is nice and shiny. As you can see, this is just one of those rifles that is just very cool. It's great to look at. It's great to hold. And I will tell you, the 35 Remington is a fabulous little round. I have too many hunting projects right now, and so one of the problems with my projects is that I don't know if I'll ever have time to get my hands on you know, each one of my guns that I'm going to go out and try to get deer with. Right now I'm committed to trying to use my Socko Bavarian carbine, and then this is probably next on the list, as well as my 6.5 Grendel. I would like to do some hunting with too, but I don't hunt as much as I shoot. So this is a gun though that I have always wanted to have, just for the brush bucking capabilities. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what the 35 Remington can look like. Now, the original design for the 35 Remington was supposed to be like this. Right under 2.45 inches, you have a round nose, soft point bullet. And with any luck, this is a 200 grain that would leave the barrel at hopefully 2,000 feet per second. That was the goal with this sucker. So if you could get that 200 grain bullet up to the speeds of, you know, about 2,000 feet per second, this sucker could just blast through the brush and the grass and just, you know, make a really nice, you know, heavy hitting hole in that deer or that hog, whatever you were working on. Now, one of the things that I've done is that I have a lot of plinking kind of cowboy style ammo, and that's what this is I have a bunch of bullets that I have that I purchased that were designed to be used for practice. One of the things that we can see here is a bullet that I have that has a gas check, and it's just made of soft lead. You could hunt with these if you wanted to, but just based on the very, very low price, this is one of those things that you can easily get out there and shoot at 2,000 feet per second with a lot of your brass. I'll go ahead and show you one of the common bullets that people use, and this is this Ftx bullet, and that's what you actually see loaded here. This Ftx is designed that you can put 2 rounds, one from the other, without damaging the primer. One of the problems with a lot of these lever guns is that if you use a Spitzer type bullet like this, there is a fear that the recoil can pop a primer inside of this tube down here. There are a lot of YouTube videos that are great that show whether or not that would actually happen. It's kind of an old wives' tale, but it's one of those things that you really should be careful in looking at and making sure that you're not putting yourself purposefully into a dangerous situation. But this bullet here is kind of the modern version of the 35 Remington with this type of bullet with this rubber tip on it. These are the go-to, the originals. If you are a savvy hand loader, maybe you can look into the opportunity of modifying bullets that you may already have or have available. This right here is a Barnes Ttsx. So this is a tip triple shock, and I found a box of these 200 grain, and I thought, well, heck, this might work for my 35 Remington. And then if you can see here, no, that's going to be way too long. If I had set that at the same length, it would be sticking out of the front and it would never actually load up. Plus, this is a hard plastic tip, and I don't know if I'd want it to be jammed in there. That being said, it doesn't take very much effort to remove that little tip on there. It may take 4 or 5 grains out of the weight of this bullet, but I have now a solid copper expanding round for my 35 Remington. So you can use a lot of modern bullet technology, and if you want to clean up this kind of ugly face, you can probably do it with a little bit of sandpaper. It's just copper, but bullet options are really good in the 35 Remington. Now if you're a hand loader, that's the case. You know, that being said, if you were going to look for factory ammunition, it's not going to be that easy. But that's the case with a lot of ammo right now. I look at 6.5 Creedmoor and even 270, and those are somewhat hard to find on the shelves. If you don't shoot, you know, 9mm 308 5.56, you might have a hard time. And then there are, of course, you know, a few smaller, you know, smaller popularity calibers, 6mm Creedmoor and 350 Legend that people see. But if you kind of shoot something that's in the middle, you're not going to find a whole lot of stuff on the street. So this one right here has the loopholed VX Freedom 1.5 by 4 scope on it with the Pigplex, some steel rings. This is a nice cheap basic Marlin scope mount. It does add a bit of weight to this rifle. Ultimately, I think that this would be a fun rifle to just carry around without a scope, but I had this scope and I mounted it on there. One of the things that I do own also is a rear aperture sight from Ranger Point Precision. Ranger Point is a cool company that I think is really making a lot of things for these lever actions that make them really sweet. And even though this is a Remington era Marlin, I believe that this one is worth some upgrades because of just the quality fit and finish of this particular gun. There were rumors that Remington was really trying to fix a lot of the things that they had done in making these Marlins so unlikable, and that this might have been one of those eras right before where they had really spent a lot of time trying to make the fit and finish just look a lot better, because I think that it's evident in this particular gun. Other than the issue with the chamber, I find that this is a very handsome, well-made gun, and it looks and sounds and shoots good. So it's kind of one of those things where I don't have a whole lot of problems with it. One of the things I would do, though, just if you have a gun that's similar to this, this thing right here is so hard. Ranger Point Precision sells a little feed spring here for this for maybe $20 or so. I would get it in gold to match this trigger. Just kind of playing there, because it is so hard to feed rounds into there. And then if you use, so you see this is a dummy, this is a dud round, but if you use lead, you can actually cause leading to occur on here. And I don't like having lead on my fingers, so there'll be a nice little thing of lead all over that. I don't really like that. I'd like it to be much less, I guess you could say much less difficult to actuate. But the action on it's really sweet, like that. And then ejection is nice and positive. Just go squirts that sucker out. There's no issues with this thing. That's a live round, so we're not going to play with that one. That's a live round, so we're not going to play with that one. But these two are duds. But it's not hard to self-load. Oops, what have I done? Like that. So it's just a, man, just a nice gun to hold. I would also consider changing maybe this lever to one of the Ranger Point Precision levers. They also do make a trigger that is meant to kind of help the feeling that the trigger does hit kind of a hard wall. You can see here, I'll kind of show, it has this kind of flop like this, but it hits a wall here and it's a single stage, and then you can just push, and then it finally breaks. It feels maybe 6.5, 7, maybe 5.5 pounds, but it is a hard trigger. But for a brush gun that you might be kind of dancing around the trigger as you're walking or something, or if you're trying to quickly reload for a follow-up shot, a harder trigger is something that it is could be useful to you. So this is my sweet little 35 Remington rifle. It's soon to be joined by a Ruger Marlin 1895 SBL. I will absolutely have a video for that at some point. Well, look what I've done. But I am thrilled that I will be able to add that to my collection. But hopefully, if y'all have any questions about this wonderful gun, I would be happy to share them with you. Right now, my main load that I'll be using for hunting is this 200 grain Ftx or this 200 grain round nose. Both of these are loaded up with Hornady Lever Evolution by Ogden, and it is a fabulous powder for the 35 Remington, as well as other cartridges, 5.56. It also could replace things like CFE 223. You can use it in 308, 6.5 Grendel, 6.8 SPC, 3030, 35 Remington, anything that could be used in an intermediate case. That Lever Evolution powder is very much like Varget or CFE 223, so it has a great mixture of things that it works in. So, but yeah, I just thought I'd do this tabletop with you and kind of just show you this is my Remington era Marlin, and then hopefully if anybody's interested in the next couple of months, I will be having my 1895 SBL on display here, and maybe we'll have some shooting vids with this. All right. Hope everyone's doing great. Bye-bye.